of continue to treat bullying as though it's a rite of passage in our schools. Bullying of any kind, of any form, is absolutely wrong and it is unjustifiable. Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, welcome and thank you so very much for stopping by, and I hope you do not leave until you click the subscribe button on your screen. That way you join the family and you can always get to see my videos. And of course, to my family members, my subscribers, thank you so very much for your love. So today I want to talk about bullying in schools, specifically high schools, and I'm going to be referencing a viral story that happened in my home country, which is Nigeria, right? And some of you might be aware of this story, but if you aren't aware of this story, you can click the link in the description box just below this video to read the story and get an idea of what I'm talking about. So last week, a case trended on social media in the Nigerian space as regards a 12-year-old boy, a 12-year-old high school student who was bullied in school, beaten, battered, and eventually lost his life a couple of days later, I believe as a result of the injuries that he sustained during this torture. Now, I want to talk about this first because I'm privileged to be a parent. I have 2 kids and also I am Nigerian. So for that reason, I want to talk about it. And lastly, I'm also going to talk about this issue because this story happened particularly in a boarding school, right? And I was actually in a boarding school as well when I was in high school. I believe I can share my experience and my opinions on my experience and my thoughts on this bullying, on this situation. So there's some things I want to make reference to first of all before I give my opinion and my thoughts on what has happened. The first being that this 12-year-old boy, by the way, his name is Sylvester Oromoni, and my heart bleeds for his family. I can't imagine the torture and the grief that they're going through right now, and I really just pray that God gives his family the grace and the strength to actually bear this loss. It was a 12-year-old innocent child, and to have his life taken away from him in such a manner is just heartbreaking. And may Sylvester's soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. The first thing I'd like to reference is the fact that he was in boarding school in this high school. He was a boarder. Second being that this is not the first time that he's been in such a situation. He's been bullied several times in the school. And I also want to make reference to the fact that this may or may not have been the first time such an incident is happening in the school. It seems to me that no stringent action had been taken to at least put a stop to such an incident happening repeatedly in the school. It's actually, I find it quite alarming that bullying is still very rampant in schools in Nigeria and anywhere else in the world really. I'm just going to share a bit of my experience when I was in high school. So in the first 3 years, so high school in Nigeria really is for 6 years, right? So you have junior high, which is 3 years, and then senior high, which is another 3 years. So for the 3 years that I was in junior high, I was actually in boarding school. Now at the time, I was in a girls only school. However, that didn't stop the fact that I experienced bullying on all fronts. As a matter of fact, it was a norm, you know, when we, and I say we being, you know, my generation, right? When we were in high school, it was a norm to be bullied by senior students because it sort of was like a rite of passage. And one of the reasons why we didn't complain or we didn't revolt as much as we ought to have was because, like I said earlier, it seemed like it was a rite of passage. So you had to endure whatever bullying, punishments and hardship you had to face, knowing that when you got to senior high, you know, you had the position and the power. You had the position and the power, you know, to do the same to junior students as well. And it was usually a case of serving unnecessary, unfair and undue punishments meted out to you by senior students just because, you know, you're a junior student. And sometimes some of these punishments actually led to physical injury sometimes, and a lot of times it did a lot more emotional damage when there was no physical injury. It was, I really don't want to recount all of, you know, bad experiences that I had, but it was bad. Of course, you know, we had the right and the platform, you know, to report to our parents, report to teachers, staff members of the school and all of that. But one of the reasons why a lot of us didn't report it was because we felt it was a rite of passage. Well, at least I'm speaking for myself and I'm speaking for some of the people that were my friends back then in high school. One of the reasons why we didn't say anything was because we felt it was a rite of passage, and we also felt the school wasn't going to do anything enough, you know, to punish any of the seniors or to stop them at all, you know, from carrying out whatever form of bullying that they were doing. It was only in very, very few instances that the school authority got involved when it was a severe case, you know, of a junior student being punished so much so that they fell ill and all of that. In most cases, nothing was done really, and that's because a lot of times, a lot of us didn't report the situations that we found ourselves in. Now, my issue and my concern in all of this is the fact that bullying isn't taken as seriously as it should be. The fact that a student doesn't have physical injury as a result of bullying doesn't mean that bullying hasn't occurred, or doesn't mean that bullying isn't happening to the child at that time. I mean, given the context of this story, it seems to me that teachers and non-academic members of staff of this particular school, and perhaps so many other schools as well, aren't adequately trained to handle such situations. I really don't understand why school authorities don't take swift actions when a student comes to complain about a bully or about being bullied by several supposed to be senior students. Some people have argued online, you know, that the parents of the child didn't take sufficient action and all of that. I'm saying that to say that this video is not about the parents of the child. I am not going to address the parents of the child in this video. My concern particularly is the school authorities in this case, and in every other case really. It really baffles me the reason why schools don't treat bullying as a crime really, which it should be. In a situation where a student has come to you once, twice, perhaps more than twice to report a particular student or a particular group of students, then that should be a red flag. That should be an alarm. An alarm should go off immediately. Also, and I think that a lot of schools have become really, really complacent in dealing with bullying, because if a senior student knows that they cannot get away with bullying, then clearly bullying is going to reduce drastically. But in a case where a senior student knows that I can bully, I can get away with it, of course there's going to be multiple cases and multiple incidents of bullying. At some point in this story, it was said that the senior students who perpetrated this crime, as far as I'm concerned, it was a crime that was committed. That's my opinion anyway, and I'm sticking with it. So this senior students who perpetrated this crime actually came back to beat and torture this 12-year-old innocent boy simply because he had gone ahead to report them prior. Now, what gives a student the confidence to come back to beat up another student simply because you felt that the junior student had gone to snitch on you as a senior student? I really don't understand what is going on with discipline in schools these days. It seems to me as though because the school is a private school, because the school is an expensive school, so we have flat out compromised on discipline. If we're going to hold a certain school by a certain disciplinary standard, all schools should be held by such standards, period. It is clear to me that bullying isn't treated as a menace that it actually is in our society, in Nigeria, and even in the world at large. Bullying isn't taken as seriously as it should, and this has just really opened my eyes to what is at stake. You know, as a parent, I can't imagine being in a situation where my child is going to come and complain to me and tell me that they're experiencing any form of bullying in the school. It's not going to be pretty. I'm glad that the uproar on social media in Nigeria concerning this case is really loud, and I'm hoping that this case serves as a turnaround as to how bullying is handled in Nigeria going forward. And again, my heart just really breaks for Sylvester Oromoni's family, and I'm praying that God will give them the much needed closure that they need, and I pray that Sylvester's soul will rest in peace. Parents, please train up your child in the way of the Lord, so that when the child grows, he or she will not depart from it. Lastly, parents, guardians, wards, whatever the case may be, we cannot continue to be silent about bullying. If you're a caregiver to a child, we cannot continue to sweep bullying under the carpet. We cannot continue to treat bullying as though it's a rite of passage in our schools. Bullying of any kind, of any form, is absolutely wrong, and it is unjustifiable. Thank you so very much for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, please share this video. Let's spread the message, let's spread the word. If you haven't subscribed to my channel as well, click on the subscribe button on your screen, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye.